Hello and welcome to Leading the Way, the official podcast of Edison Township Public Schools. This is where progress, purpose, and passion come to life as we spotlight the voices and insights, as well as the initiatives that are shaping the future of education for our students. From the classrooms to the boardrooms and to the moments in between, just join me on this journey for sharing the voices of those who inspire, innovate, and elevate our schools and our community. My name is Dr. Edward Aldarelli, proud superintendent of the Edison Township Public Schools. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive in. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eddie Aldarelli, proud superintendent of Edison Township Public Schools, and we are continuing with our podcast, Leading the Way, and our leadership series here today. I have three very distinguished guests, representative from all levels of the Edison Township Public School system. To my left, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Joan Valentine. We have Dr. Fay Kim and Mr. Michael Seiler. You guys, welcome, and thanks for participating in this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great. Us, yeah. So, on the context of leadership and a lot of the discussions that we have, not only as a group internally, right, for all members of our leadership team, we thought this would be a good forum to kind of show the community at large what your approach is to leadership, to building level management, to juggling the balance between teaching and learning, community relations, and all of the complexities that kind of come along with being a building principal, especially here in Edison, such a large district. So I thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to a good conversation here. So I got a couple questions for you, and feel free to shout out the answers, or I can call on you as well. It's entirely up to you. But one of the things that when we talk about leadership and the art and practice of leadership is the effectiveness of it, right? And there's varying types of leadership models, right? Transformative leadership. We have servant leadership. You can kind of run the gamut with those pieces. But from your perspective, what does effective leadership look like in your respective schools? Not only from your seat, but you've come up through the ranks as well too. You've all been teachers. You've been you could have completed a position in a supervisory role, vice principal. What does effective leadership look like to you? Throw that out there for any member of the group.
I can start.
Yeah, Doc.
I think effective leadership is multifaceted. There's no one-size-fits-all model. It's being flexible. It's having open and honest communication, being able to have difficult conversations when needed, but also having a really strong sense of humor to get you through some of those harder days or challenges, being able to recognize the need for improvement while also being able to celebrate success, being solution-oriented, creative, innovative. The list goes on and on, so it's not just one thing. It's,
one piece?
Yes. Yeah.
Doc, what do you think?
So, this is something that I've thought a lot about, just coming in new at JP. So I really had to think about how I was going to approach leadership here in Edison, being new. And I think there's two key components, especially when you are trying to, run a school as large as JP. One is having vision. If you don't know where you're going, you're kind of just muddled and rudderless. And then the other thing is building trust. So, for me, that was very important. But building trust without having an idea of where you're going, once again, you're just kind of doing something without the important next piece. So those two together was a real focus for my first year, and I think that's true of any leader.
Yeah. Your comments kind of resonate in the book Good to Great, where they talk about is it more important to know where the bus is going, or having the right people on the bus? That debate with those pieces. Mr. Seiler?
Yeah, I agree with what they both said. Is coming in as an outsider, I came from a one-building district as a principal, so coming here is a big jump. And I think one of the first things is to sit back and figure out who all the key players are and what the district's vision is, so that you can align your building to that, also in line with what your vision is for your school. And then the biggest thing I think for any leader is authenticity, right? Your staff knows if you're being authentic, your kids know if you're being authentic, and your parents as well. And if you're not being yourself and you're not being true to what you're doing and what your vision is, you're not going to be a leader. Nobody's going to want to follow and, help that vision come to light.
Yeah. If you had to kind of utilize one word, and you can't say collaborative, right? So if you what's one word that you would summarize your approach to leadership or your leadership style, or you hope that maybe your staff and the people that follow you would utilize in describing your leadership? It's probably tough to do because there's probably a few words, but what's one word that you'd say or they hope you'd say about you? Tough one.
That is a tough one.
For me, it was 2 words, but I'll just keep it to
Yeah, you can do 2.
energetic, positive energy,
Okay.
right? Our big thing is we talk about it the first day every year. Is when you're walking through the hallways, that positive attitude goes a long way. I say hello to the same person 20 times if I see him in the hallway, because the second a child comes around a corner and sees you ignore somebody, that's what they think the vision of this school is. That's the morale in this school. Oh, Mr. Seiler doesn't like that teacher, or that teacher doesn't like that teacher. So you're just positive in creating that atmosphere that it continues to resonate throughout the building.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think student-centered.
Okay.
I think many of the decisions I make, in fact, most of the decisions I make are based upon students in the building. And I think when you lead with students in mind, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
So if I'm making a difficult decision, if it's based on something that may or may not impact a teacher's schedule or something within the school community, I know that if I'm putting the needs of our students first, it's the way to go.
Good. Doc, what do you think?
I think I would use the word passion. I think that for people who meet me for the first time, they're like, whoa, you really feel strongly about this. It's like, yeah, it's important. This is, once again, this is affecting our kids. I am here, for what's best for kids, and we're doing important work. So,
Good,
yeah.
good. So we've got, 3 distinct levels here, right? We've got JMP, right, our K-2 building there. We have our high school setting as well, and our middle school setting, right? And we, obviously various needs and different needs at each of those schools. One of the things that I'd like to ask is can you share like an initiative that you led, part of the vision, or maybe something that was aligned with district level initiatives, something that you saw that really had an impact, a change in either student achievement, staff morale, community engagement, kind of all the pillars of what leadership looks like in our business. Is there anything that kind of comes to mind, or anything that you're like, hey, this is something I'm really, really proud of? What do you think?
I think I feel like I'm always cutting everybody off.
No,
Right?
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I think one of the things we're doing right now that I'm really proud of is we kind of, and we've talked about this, is we've replicated the strategic plan, right, but for JMP. And I've always said, especially as a former kindergarten teacher, school was not made for, or the way school is not conducive to learning, in my opinion. It needs to be more hands-on. It needs to be more interactive, especially in a primary building, right? These little guys, 5, 6, our oldest kid's 8 years old, to be in the same classroom from 8:45 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon.
It's tough.
It's rough. So what we started to do over the past year or so is start to really figure out how are we going to make this more hands-on learning. And one of the things I've seen through field trips and just doing some research is you're seeing more schools get their academics done, and then hands-on learning in the afternoon. You hear about 2-hour learning schools and things like that. But what we're doing is we're going to try to essentially turn JMP into a functioning school, right, or a functioning town. So where we have, right now we actually just purchased a market, so the kids can go in and shop.
Oh, great.
They can set their price points, do marketing, film commercials. Using what they're learning in the classroom, in a real world environment. And to me, as a like I said, former kindergarten teacher, like I'm excited about it. So if I'm excited about it and the teacher is excited about it, imagine how a 5 or 6 year old is about learning in that way. So something we're really excited about and then looking forward to.
Awesome. Dr.
So-
Valentine, Dr. Kim, what do you got?
You know, obviously, someone new, I don't have a lot to talk about, but one thing that, you know, especially when you're new, you don't want to come in and do a million new things, but we did implement something for this year going into 25, 26 that I'm really proud of, which is our Biomedical Science Academy. It started with an idea, and this is a response to the community. You know, the STEM Academy at Edison High has been around for, I think, about a decade. Extremely successful, and this is just one area that we felt we weren't addressing. You know, the biomedical science area, we were, you know, losing kids, awesome students right here in Edison going to Middlesex County, and we felt that we could recreate something as good as, if not better, and we are currently, our first cohort is taking advanced biology in anticipation for them taking AP biology as freshmen, and they are going to be absolutely prepared. They are coming in every day excited, doing labs, learning the fundamentals of life sciences. So, you know, these are kids who eventually will be our, you know, our biomedical science leaders, doctors, research scientists, and we're really excited about that.
Awesome. What was the toughest part about that? Getting something like that off the ground?
I guess coordinating, planning, and not taking no as an answer. Like, oh, that can't be done in such a short amount of time. I'm like, no, we can.
Yeah.
We can. If you put your mind to it and you get the right support through, you know, Dr. Aldarelli and the board, you know, really anything's possible.
Awesome. Dr. Valentine.
So mine isn't really school-based
Okay.
as much as it is district-based.
Sure.
It's something this year that I'm really proud of that my team has worked on is the Empower Edison program. And
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
we have, it actually started off with our retreat from last summer. We worked with Apple. You brought us to Apple in New York City, which was an amazing opportunity. And while we were there, we worked in teams, and we really tried to break down the silos and come together as one to work on a problem of practice and reach some type of resolution. In a short, very, very short amount of time, we were able to make progress during that specific day. Leaving there, a group that came together was our North Star team, led by Sam Grimaldi. And Sam built a team, and I happened to have been fortunate enough to be a part of that team. And we worked together in a similar style to what we did at the Apple Retreat, and came up with our district's North Star statement, which we're really, really proud of. From there, that wasn't enough for us, though. I knew that being a member of that team, that I wanted to take it further. So I remember right before our presentation talking to Sam and saying, Sam, I have an idea. What do you think if, as part of our next steps, we created an opportunity for other administrators to do what we did? So they would come together and they would follow a process, and we would help them along the way, and so on and so forth. She's like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. So from there, and I know this is a lot longer than I intended, but
yeah.
I talked to Kelly Calabrese from Apple. She really helped me in drafting up a process and what that would look like, shared it with you, got the okay from you. And we since have started our own process, a design thinking process, where an administrator has an idea and takes that idea and brings it to life. So we've had a lot of success so far this past school year, where we've had about 5 or 6 teams go through the process. And our innovation committee has provided consultants. So each one of us will serve as a consultant for a specific project and help that team see it through.
Yeah. So that actually goes into the next thought in relationship to motivation. What do you think the motivating factor is for people to participate in something like this, right? I mean, it's not something we mandated, right? I didn't say, hey, everybody's got to think of a new idea, and you have 6 weeks to get it to the finish line, and it's got to be aligned with the strategic plan, and it's got to affect kids in a positive way. This has really been an authentic piece in which people are kind of motivated intrinsically to participate in this. What do you think? Why do you think it's so successful?
One of the key factors is that idea of breaking down the silos. We talked about at the Apple Retreat how as a middle school principal, I work with middle school people. I don't often get the opportunity to work with my elementary or high school counterparts. So the Empower Edison process does allow for that collaboration across the district. The design entails choosing team members who are elementary, middle, and high school, so you get to talk to people outside of your domain.
Yeah.
And I think that's really alluring.
Anything to add to that in relationship to, I mean, it doesn't have to be Empower Edison, but, you
Well,
know,
I think this just goes back to the greater question of leadership. We're talking about people who, as you said, intrinsically motivated. I'm really proud to be part of the Edison team here, and being surrounded by people whose minds are always thinking, like, how can we make this better? How can we improve? I have this great new idea, and having systems in place like Empower Edison to help foster those ideas. It doesn't just die on the vine, and being encouraged by our leadership, our central administrative leadership team. That's all very, very important to keep those ideas flowing, to keep Edison Township Public Schools on the cutting edge.
Yeah, I agree. And I think at the building level, in order to keep everybody motivated, I think it started with what you said earlier about that vision. You gave the buy-in to the teachers. Hey, what do you see the vision of this school, right? It's not my vision. It's not, our assistant principal's vision. It's our vision. So once they had buy-in and really saw that we understand what they're saying and we support what they're saying, when you come to work every day, you're more motivated to get the job done,
Yeah.
right? You're passionate about it. You said passion. Your passion shows because you care about it. Like, you want this to be successful, not only for your school, but for the district.
awesome.
And I would just add that as a final thought for Empower Edison. I think that's the piece that makes it unique, is you're working on something that is a passion project of yours. So oftentimes we get waylaid in with the minutia of the day-to-day, everything that you have to do. But with the Empower Edison program, it's really thinking of something you want to do, something that you're passionate about and you want to see through to the finish line.
So you talked about the day-to-day, which can be all-consuming sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Especially, in a large district and with large schools like we have here in Edison Township. How do you balance the main focus, right, which is student achievement, right, in instructional leadership, to that extent, and ensuring that the school operates safely, right, in a secure manner and in an efficient manner? How do you juggle both of those? The primary one being student achievement, right? That's how we're measured. We're measured with student growth, but in order to achieve that, you got to make sure that you've got systems in place. It's not easy, but
No.
How do you, like, in your head, how do you juggle those things?
It's hard. I mean, especially when I think about if someone could follow my day, I'm sure for all of us.
We should have our own reality show.
I know, it's kind of crazy. You're shifting from doing a post-observation conference with a novice teacher, and then suddenly you're dealing with some discipline issue in the building, and then you're dealing with a parent issue, and then then you're talking about trying to get a biomedical science academy off the ground from scratch. So it's a lot. I think that for me, having really good people around you, having a strong team. I'm really lucky. We have 4 assistant principals, and they're amazing. And having that support, and also from your team, but also above you, that the central office supports our efforts here. But it is not easy, especially when you have large buildings. So it's also you as a person being able to keep yourself organized, having that work-life balance, being able to go home and do yoga,
Right.
and because that
And disconnect a little bit.
correct, so that you can come back refreshed.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Flexibility,
Okay.
right? I think that you need to be able to shift gears at any moment's notice, being able to recognize that sometimes no is an answer.
Right.
Albeit not one you want to use often, but sometimes you have to. And the flexibility as the leader, but then the flexibility as just overseeing everything that's happening within your building, like knowing that there may be a no from you once in a while,
Right.
and that's okay. Then what do? We just have to pivot and regroup and figure out how we're going to move forward. But for me, most of all, I think it's having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't laugh at yourself
Well,
at
if you
the
can't
end
have
of the
fun in
day,
schools,
and
you
can't have
probably are,
fun.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably in the wrong business,
And
right?
knowing that you're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
It's totally fine and expected to make mistakes, but be able to own the mistakes that you make, learn from them, grow from them, and move
Yeah,
forward
and
in
improve.
a positive way.
And improve. Mr. Seiler, anything?
Again, I like combining their answers, but absolutely, flexibility's got to be the biggest thing. I think this is my 10th year in this district, and my building has not been the same, since I started. Right, I started off with preschool in my building, then self-contained, maybe 1 or 2 classrooms. I think I have the most self-contained at the elementary level now. And that wasn't my forte, so I had to be flexible, and then I also had to build and develop a team that could support that. Right, we just have Maggie Callahan came over from Monroe, who has got a strong background in special education, and in having that as part of my team, I know I can rely on her to handle those things that I've never had to handle before, right? And I'll still learn from that, right? Because like you said earlier, we're passionate, we want to learn and grow ourselves so that we can support our staff, which comes to the having that team, right? Without having the right players and the right team in your building, I don't think you can be successful, right? This isn't a one. Yes, we're the building leaders, but it doesn't function without all of us. Yeah. Right? It really doesn't. Yeah. So.
And as the leaders, you put mechanisms in place to ensure that you're spending your time on things that matter, right? Right, and that goes to a lot of the things that you talked about. I would imagine somewhere along your path, right? I mean, we all came from the teaching ranks, correct? Right, we come from the teaching ranks. Was there someone that inspired you to move on to the next level? It doesn't have to be somebody you worked with. I mean, it could be, a spouse or a parent or a friend that pushed you. Is there anybody that said, "Hey, you know what? You'd be pretty good as a school leader, right? Supervisory, vice principal, principal, beyond that." Anybody ever say that to you, or was
I've got
it
a great story, but I don't know if we want to put it out to the public because it does involve the state. No. But what motivated me, and this is a true story, is that, I was a kindergarten teacher in Pennsauken, and the state monitored us a lot. And we had to hit certain timelines, right?
Yeah.
It's 9:15, you need to be starting, phonics
Reading or
instruction.
whatever,
Yeah,
yes.
right? And it was a Friday, and I don't know if I can use the kid's name, but to this day, Nigel Crawford was working his tail off to get to a new reading level. And on Monday, he's like, "Hey, I can read this story." I said, "Hey, I tell you what, on Friday, during morning meeting, I'll let you read it." And sure enough, let him do it. And who walks in unannounced is the state. And they sat down, they looked angry because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and they left. And then I had a conversation with the supervisor and my administrator, and they're like, "You weren't doing what you're supposed to be doing." I go, I was letting a 5-year-old child read to the class and inspire them to go home and read over the weekend. You heard all those kids when they were done, "Can I read? Can I read next? Can I read next?" Because that's what it's about, right? So when I got out of that situation, I thought to myself, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing to kids? Like, this is, they should be wanting to come here and learn. They shouldn't be, hey, especially as a teacher, like, what are we doing to this staff? Hey, it's 9:15, you need to be, this isn't the military.
Yeah.
No offense to the military, love the military.
Right. Well, that's the way schools are set up, though.
They are.
Schools are
They
set
are.
up on a bell schedule, right? I
Right.
mean, it is factory oriented. Yeah,
Right, and
yeah.
you do need structure, obviously, but to that point where it's 9:15, let's go. It's like, they're 5.
Yeah.
They're still waking, I'm still waking up.
Yeah.
But that was the moment where I realized I need to start making a change. Like, how do I make a change in this? Because this isn't how school should be.
Yeah. And
especially at that time, it was a lower performing district.
building level leadership too affects the most change, right? Right. It's that research. I mean, teachers are obviously have the greatest impact, but next is building level leadership, right? Because you're the motivating factor in relationship to that. Doc, anybody that?
Well, I did have my first few years, my first teaching job, I was a middle school English teacher, and the principal at that school was a model, and I still think about her today. She's still on my Christmas list. She gets Christmas cards from me. As far as someone who always listened, and I was a kid out of college, and I would go in, I remember would go into her office, and I'm like, I was thinking, because I had a long commute, and people have learned that the long commutes have been is when my mind starts
Yes,
working.
yes. Yeah.
And I would go and I'm like, I was thinking, and she always listened. She didn't always implement whatever it was, but she did actually implement a lot of the things that I thought about or suggested to her, which is really empowering for, a young 20-something teacher. And I never forgot that. So, that's why I've always had a, open door policy. May not happen, but always listen to
Yeah.
you.
That's great. Doc?
I've been so lucky because I've had so many mentors along the way.
Sure.
And that's kind of helped shape my leadership in that I'm always looking to pay it forward. So whenever I have teachers who are looking to become leaders or students who want to become leaders, I'm always trying to keep that in mind. Like, I had it great. I had such a support system ranging from Gail Polakowski, Rick Labby, Rose Traficante, and they were all my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And they were always such a big support system and an inspiration. And I always learned so much from each of them that I just want to be able to do the same for other people.
So you talked a little bit about this, right? That you're giving, you pride yourself on giving people those same opportunities, right? To maybe demonstrate leadership capacity or exposure to that. If you had to give advice to aspiring leaders, right? Teachers that might be in master's programs currently right now, or members of the community that are thinking about maybe dipping their toe in the water here in Edison Township in a leadership role, what advice would you give to aspiring young leaders?
So I just read this recently and heard at a conference in the spring that every new leader should have 4 different people to help guide them: a mentor, an advisor, a sponsor, and a connector.
Oh.
And the first 2, pretty easy to define,
Yeah.
right? But it's the sponsor and the connector that you don't often think of. Sponsor is the person who's going to advocate for you when you're not around,
Okay.
when you're not in the room. So they hear about a particular opportunity and they're immediately saying, I think Dr. Kim would be a great person for that position or for that challenge or for that program or whatever. Whereas the connector is the person who's going to be able to put you in touch with someone. So if you wanted to, let's say, explore leadership with AI,
Right.
and you know someone who can really help someone get on that track, you're going to connect the 2 of them so that they can start that conversation and look to build a relationship together.
What do you think the benefit of that is, the connector? Which one out of those 4, right? Are they equal amongst all?
That's a really good question.
What's the mindset of that? It's interesting.
I think for me, the one that was newest was the sponsor.
Yeah.
When that came up, I immediately started asking questions like, well, what does that mean? They're
almost
going to
like a
pay
parent.
for you?
Yeah, it's almost like a parent that advocates for you.
Are they going to bankroll you,
Yeah,
when you need something? They're going to give you some money? But no, it's not that at all. It's that they're going to be your cheerleader. They're going to be your hype person, the one who really helps promote you. And I do think that that's necessary, especially in a district like Edison that's
Sure.
so big. When you have so many different players and so many different people that you come across on a day-to-day basis, you need to have those people who could connect you, but then also those people who can really help you reach the levels and the goals that you want to reach.
Yeah, you think about it in a district our size too, right? I mean, those are easily 4 distinct roles that you can probably gather from the team that we've built here in Edison Township, right? I mean, you all have colleagues that I'm sure have years of experience that could not only sponsor you, but provide you with, connections on areas of interest or things that you may be struggling in, or a path that you want to kind of see an initiative through. Good stuff.
And
Yeah.
importantly, they're 4 different people. They're
Right.
not all. So if you're an aspiring leader and you're just starting out and you have those 4 different people within your career path, they call it part of your success team. And you're actually supposed to ask people, like, will you be a part of my success team?
Success team. Yeah.
So I think that's a really neat idea that I wish I had known when I was first starting out as a leader.
Well, and again, there's a path for leadership coaching too. I mean, this is something that is, not only is it a business, but I mean, it's something that's been proven to assist even the best leaders, right? Even successful CEOs have leadership coaches, or somebody that they can talk to when they are either struggling or just for, self-improvement. So listen, as we kind of come to the end of our time, right? I mean, the discussion focuses on leadership too, but I also want to give you an opportunity to maybe plug kind of what's going on in JAMS or JP or JMP. Is there anything that you want to share with listeners, families, teachers, as we're almost at the midway point through the summer, right? I mean, I know, I hate saying that, but it's going to be August next week. Is there anything you'd like to share about this upcoming school year, about leadership, about anything at all in kind of closing comments?
I'll let one of you start if you want to come over top.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, for me, last year was my first year, so coming up this year, listening to students and faculty and community members, look for some, changes and some tweaking, like response to, feedback from the community.
That's good.
And that we hear you. And that we're always looking to improve the educational experience for our students at JP. And, I'm really excited for this upcoming year.
Awesome.
I got a couple great things.
Yeah, let's hear them.
One is going back to that strategic plan. Like, we're really excited about where we're going at JMP and kind of changing the way we learn, right? Or not even changing the way we learn, changing the structure of school, right? Really taking our time and really thinking, how do we support 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds? And this can translate into upper elementary and then middle and high school. So developing that strategic plan and already started moving forward with that. We're super excited about that. But I guess the one thing I did want to share when I heard that one question to parents is, from a primary perspective, and I'm sure this goes for middle school and high school, let them be kids.
Yeah.
We're not letting kids be kids anymore. And it's okay. We all fail. We all make mistakes. How many phone calls do we get a day where we're on it and they're like, well, my kid would never do that. It's okay if they did that. Yeah. I did it as a kid, and that's how we learn, right? My kid never lies. We do. It's a coping mechanism for a 5, 6, 7-year-old. It's a defense mechanism, and it's okay. And I guess the last thing is trust that we're going to do what's best for your child and every child in that building. Yeah. And I think they see a lot on social media. They see a lot in the news, and I think our profession has lost a little bit of trust with parents, right? They want to jump in and try to protect their kids. And going back to what you guys said earlier, you have the most passionate administrators in this district that want to do what's best for every child and let them learn from failure and let them be kids and make those mistakes. And that's the only way they're going to build those skills so that when they are in middle school or high school, they're able to handle those bigger problems, than, at an elementary level.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and modeling that is super important as well, too. Doc?
At JAMS, I think we're super...
Are we going to get a Jamazing plug here?
Of course. You have to just let it come out naturally.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have our open house for our 6th grade students at the end of August, which we're really excited for. Every year that takes a new evolution where our student leaders come together and basically run the show there. So it's always nice to see our older students who've been through it before helping our newer students. But overall, I've worked really hard this summer with Mr. Blakeski and Mr. Kelly, who are a dynamic part of our school community and team, administrative team, to set the stage for high expectations, hard work and determination, but a lot of fun. We want to make sure that our kids entering in September know that we're building the experience based upon what they want and what they need, and we want them to feel comfortable and know it's a safe place to talk to us and ask questions and think of things that they want, because this is their experience and we want it to be a Jamazing one.
There you go. There we go. Fantastic. Well, and even though we kid about those pieces too, the overarching theme in all of your responses is about culture, right? And it is about creating a culture in which all stakeholders can thrive and succeed, right? From students to staff members to parents to your colleagues in leadership and so on and so forth. So we've come to the end of our time. I do want to thank you for it. I know that you probably have busy schedules on the heels of Monday, kind of getting ready for the upcoming school year. And I do thank you for it. Great conversation. Looking forward to having more of these. This is Eddie Aldarelli, Superintendent of Edison Public Schools. Thank you again for your time, and looking forward to the next episode of Leading the Way. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you again for listening to Leading the Way. We hope today's episode offered a meaningful look at the people and the passion and the driving force behind Edison Township Public Schools. We'll be back soon with more voices and stories that reflect the heart of our district. But until then, thank you for being a part of this journey.